It's a question we've been asking since we could ask questions. Why do we do what we do? Why do we crave all the wrong foods? Why do some people get so anxious they can't leave the house? Why does so much stuff seem disgusting when you're pregnant? If you're familiar with comic books and superheroes, you'll know already that superheroes have an origin story, the reasons why our hero does what he does. Well, our brain has an origin story too, and that looking at that story might help us answer some of those why we do what we do questions. We can do that via a relatively new approach called evolutionary psychology. It can help shed light on a range of aspects of human behaviour, and it can be useful in other disciplines as well. Evolutionary psychology focuses on questions about the function and adaptiveness of human behaviour. It can help complete the puzzle, fill in the gaps. It works on the basic assumption that, like the rest of our body, our mind, and therefore our behaviour, has been shaped by the processes of evolution, by looking at whether these behaviours helped our species survive and reproduce. Evolutionary psychology starts with the basic premise that our brain grew up in very different environments to the ones we live in now. It asks questions like, does this behaviour have a function? Is it adaptive? One of the principal ideas of evolutionary psychology is the mismatch theory, which suggests that some of the things we do might be adaptations to a different environment than our current one, and that what might have been useful in the past might not be so good now. Of course, not everything is a mismatch. Some stuff that was useful is still useful. For example, take the pregnant lady who can't eat all the stuff she used to like. Turns out that's adaptive. It protects the baby during a vulnerable period. Awesome adaptive mechanism that confers a survival advantage on those who have it. So the question then becomes, how do we test it? Time travel? Nah. We look for clues, signs that suggest that a trait or mechanism exists as a consequence of evolutionary processes. Some of the best indicators are when they're evident across cultures or across species. Now, just to be clear, evolutionary psychologists are not saying that everything we're good at is a product of evolution. Science doesn't do just so stories. And just because it seems to come naturally doesn't make it right. Which leads me to my next point. Yes, there are differences within our species. They may need to be acknowledged, but they don't need to be acted on. And no, it's not only about what we did as hunter-gatherers. While some environments may have had more impact than others on human evolution, it is really important to remember that as organisms, we've been subject to evolutionary processes since, well, primordial soup. So let's recap. Evolutionary psychology is descriptive, not prescriptive, and is not an excuse to make up silly origin stories or be evil. It looks for behaviours and behavioural mechanisms across cultures and across species. It uses the concepts of evolutionary psychology to provide a more comprehensive understanding of why we do what we do. And it provides a useful framework that's applicable across a broad range of areas. Evolutionary psychology, it's adaptive.